Well, I think it's time for another fountain pen shootout. And I thought that today what we would do is look at two pens which are both Peerless models by Cross, but actually do a comparison of a limited edition one and a regular lineup. So I'm just going to show you the pen first, right next to Pilot Metropolitan. You see that the Peerless is mainly girthier, but it's relatively similar length. Now, what I thought would be fun is that Cross did a couple of Star Wars tie-ins. They had their Townsend models where they had a Boba Fett, for example, which I have reviewed. They had a Chewbacca, which I reviewed. But this is the Cross Peerless Darth Vader. It comes in a box with a stand which also has the Star Wars logo on it. And then this is the regular Cross Peerless. Now the interesting thing about these is that as to their prices, the regular Peerless, if you can find one somewhere, is about 350 US MSRP, and they retail for a little less. So if you look around, I've seen them for 280, 250, depending on where you go. And the Darth Vader was 500 US, so it was more expensive when it was launched, but I've seen these at street price for about 350 US. So the Darth Vader was a limited edition to 1977, obviously, but so it's a little harder to get at this point, I would say. Now, I've done a full review of the Darth Vader, I've done a full review of Peerless, so I don't want to go over all the details, but suffice to say that the Darth Vader is Darth Vader themed and has a lot of things going, like for example, this is his chest panel that's on his armor, his helmet and mask are on the cap. It's fairly subtle, so the light needs to hit that the right way. It has all kinds of details. And the Cross Peerless, well, that's just a Peerless, that's a pen. The interesting thing about these is that the nibs for the Peerless models are actually made by Sailor. So it's a Japanese nib, and I have found these nibs to be very, very nice. Now, it's no secret that I like Sailor nibs a lot, so that may be why these pens appeal to me. What I find very interesting about the Peerless model is that it is a girthier model than the Townsend, and the other Star Wars tie-ins were Townsend models, which were a lot skinnier. So what I thought we would do today is kind of look at them side by side and have them write side by side. I mean, it's the same nib, right? So they should give a pretty similar writing performance. However, there are some differences. One important difference that immediately stands out to me, beyond the obvious of, yes, this one looks like Darth Vader, I get that. But one of the things I've always found interesting about the Peerless model is the texture. These pens have a texture to them, and that makes for an interesting tactile experience as you hold them, and even in my injured state, I can feel the texture. It's quite subtle. They're fairly smooth. I mean, it's not that this is a massive relief, but you do feel that texture. The section is fairly girthy, and then you have that Sailor nib, and these pens do post very securely, so you get a fairly sizable pen when you have posted them. The Darth Vader is made of a different metal, at least maybe I shouldn't say it's made of a different metal, but it has a completely different texture. It does not have this sort of chasing on it, and it feels a lot smoother. As to their dimensions, they're the same, which is interesting, but what I have found with the Darth Vader is that, to me, it always looks, if you put it right next to another Peerless, a regular Peerless, it looks like the Darth Vader cap is slimmer, but they actually are the same dimensions. I think this is a matter of black dresses down, as we say in fashion, because it is actually the same dimensions. So I like this texture. The Darth Vader has an interesting texture, meant to resemble parts of his armor and all that stuff. In any case, it's a bit smoother. It's a little smoother to the touch, and I will say I do like that. Beyond that, same thing. Post securely, pleasant writer, Sailor nib, all that stuff. So if I were to pick one, well, I mean, the Darth Vader's the Darth Vader Titan, so if you don't like Star Wars, you obviously have no interest in that pen, I would assume. But the regular Peerless is a timeless model. There's also a gold version available, which is a bit more expensive, if I remember correctly. It looks interesting. I have never particularly cared for the cap, which I find a bit disproportionate. You know, it's always looked a bit disproportionate to me. But most importantly, they're very, very pleasant writers. They really are nice writers. Sailor has done a very good job with these nibs. So I thought maybe the best way to, instead of just talking through it, is to show you how they write. I'll start off with the Darth Vader. I don't know, comment on whether you experience this too, but I have come to associate certain of my pens with certain inks. In this one I always have a black ink because it works so well with the black pen. So it's weird to me to see this pen write in blue. This is just, this is just Waterman Blue. It's just a very, very pleasant writer. It's nicely tuned, not too wet, not too dry. And there is just a lovely kind of feedback. That's something that's not for everyone, but a lot of people I found do like the Sailor nib feedback. I feel this is a borrowed pen, so I'm just looking for the nib grade. Yes, it is a medium, just like my Darth Vader is. It looks to me like it writes ever so slightly finer. Do you find that too? A little less saturated, a little finer. And it seems to be about the same level of wetness. Great writers. They're not the cheapest of pens, but pens, dog, whatever. But even as you can see with this fast writing, I have found them to be very, very reliable writers, and that's something I really like. The pen writes as soon as you uncap it. I have had no hard starts, no skips, nothing. They're really, really nice nibs. And what I particularly like about the Darth Vader is that because it's black, you can use it in an office setting. If you, it's not too in your face, and I think that's a very nice aspect of it. So if I had to pick one, I do like the Darth Vader. I do like its looks, and I mean, it's Star Wars. I like Star Wars. I think they've done a very nice job creating that pen, and honestly, I wish all their Star Wars pens were that model. I like the slightly girthier Peerless a lot better than the slimmer Townsend. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick the Darth Vader. I just like the shiny black on that material a lot. And although the classic Peerless is very nice, it has some things I don't like so much. As I said, the slightly, to me, disproportionate cap is an issue visually, and that stands out less to me in the Darth Vader. Again, I think it's just because it's so dark. Another thing that I've never really liked about the Peerless is this big center band that says Cross Peerless. I just don't find that very attractive. And the interesting thing is, it is there. I have to hold it in the light so I can see it. Yes, it says Cross Peerless, but because it's all black, it does not stand out as much as it does here. So for me, the Darth Vader would be the pen of choice, and I would be happy to pay the extra money just visually for the looks. Let me know what you think. Out of these two, which one would you pick? And I certainly won't be offended if it's this one. I hope this was useful to see these two, I guess, brothers side by side. They're the same pen, but they're also different. Very clear explanation once again. And that's it. So I hope this was useful. Let me know which one you pick, and I will gladly see you again later. Bye.